You're listening to One Bright Star's Life After Loss, a podcast that's focused on the lifelong journey of life after loss, with your hosts Erica Fisher and Alicia Moore. One Bright Star's Life After Loss podcast is sponsored by the law firm of Burkholz and Associates. And now, One Bright Star's Life After Loss podcast.
Hello and welcome to One Bright Star's Life After Loss podcast. I'm Erica Fisher, Executive Director of One Bright Star.
Alicia Moore, President of One Bright Star.
And today we have Becca Roberson with us. Becca is also a board member for One Bright Star. Hi, Becca.
Hello.
So good seeing you in person. It's been so long since we've seen real people.
Yes, it's great.
Lovely COVID and quarantine kept that from us. We've been Zooming, so we're in person now. So thank you for being here today, Becca. I know you have a busy schedule with the kids and family and work and...
Yeah, no worries. I'm happy to be here and share.
Yes. So let's talk about someone very special to you that you lost. And that would be your dad, Andy.
Yes. My dad was diagnosed in 2010 with corticobasal degeneration. And basically that disease just starts slowly deteriorating the frontal lobe of your brain. So all the functions that controls, my dad started to notice that his fine motor skills weren't as good. He was having issues like buttoning his shirts, clipping his nails. Those were kind of the first indicators that something wasn't quite right. And him and my stepmom came over one night and they told us, what was going on, and we talked about that and kind of looked at how long the cycle of that disease takes, and there is no cure for it. People who are diagnosed typically have 3 to 5 years to live, so he was on the shorter side of that. He stayed home, for a while as much as he could with my stepmom assisting, and eventually it just became too much, and he then needed to go into an assisted living facility for help with his care. And it was about 2.5 years, and then his health was just so bad he wasn't able to eat anymore, and that's when it happened. I'll still remember that day where I was and the time of day it was, but yeah, it was definitely hard, sooner than I ever thought it would happen. At the time, my daughter was 2, and my dad always said that she was the apple in his eye, and she just loved him so much.
Those are the things that are so hard when you talk about, Becca, that you will never forget that day, where you were when you got that call. It's almost like it's a moment in time, and it just stops for us.
Yeah.
And you never forget that.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, I was on my way to work, and my stepmom called, and I didn't know what to do. I drove to my husband's job and just sat in the parking lot.
Mm-hmm. You had mentioned before we started talking, Becca, that your dad he had a terminal illness, and so he had to go to assisted living. And even though you had to say goodbye or get ready for that, still when you get that call,
you're never prepared.
Yes, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, and that was kind of the hardest part too, is during the last few weeks and months of going to see him, just recognizing that our time is, that I don't have much time left. And that was hard, just going there and saying that goodbye every time.
And not knowing exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But, I find peace knowing that he's not in pain anymore, and that he's looking down over us and just trying to keep his memory alive with my kids my son was named after him, and my husband's father, who he never met either, but just, keeping his memory alive is what's important. And, showing pictures and talking about, different times in my childhood, sharing those moments, and getting, showing my kids some of the personal belongings that were my dad that are now passed down to me, like his guitar, and he was in a bluegrass band most of his life, so I have his guitar now, and my kids like to play that and listen to music that my dad played, and I really enjoy being able to share those moments that they didn't get to have with him.
Because you were very close with your dad.
Yes.
And I grew up with Becca, so I got to experience some of that amazing Andy. They used to do daddy-daughter dates, and sometimes I'd be lucky enough to get to go. And we'd always do fun things, whether it was going to a fancy restaurant and eating escargot. Those are snails. and just everything. If I needed help on a project, I knew I could go to Andy as well. And, he always included me. And so, those memories, I can't imagine how many you have and all the wonderful things that you can pass on to your kids.
Yeah.
I think it's really neat that you have the guitar and then that you let the kids play it. Good for you. Some people have those things and they put them behind, and that's okay too. But they kind of put them behind lock and key, and it's got to make your dad so happy to hear those kids playing his guitar.
Yeah.
And then their love for music is something that you've passed on too. How about, do you have any, when you said honoring him and remembering him, and that's what we always try to do with our loved ones, do you have any special events or anything that you do? Do you do something on his birthday? What's a special day for you to really remember your dad?
Yes, on his birthday for sure. We, look through pictures and again talk about different memories that I have of him and go through. I just got a big stack of his old records, so going through some of those are fun just to see what he enjoyed doing, and even reading some of his entries that he had when he was younger in life, just like in a journal. And it's been great to kind of go through some of the things that I've never even seen before that were passed down to me after he passed. It's great having those as well.
And he made furniture too, right? Did he do? I feel like he dabbled in everything.
Yes.
Pretty sure there wasn't anything that Andy couldn't do.
Yep. He did build some furniture that I'm grateful to have in my home now. Some when he was in college, some after that. But it's awesome to be able to have those pieces still and keep them so that my kids will be able to have them when they get older also.
Yes. Do you have any other family? Do you have any other siblings, Becca, that you can share the memories with? Or like your dad's family? That because sometimes it's kind of neat because you get to hear, if you're in touch with them, about things that your dad did. And maybe him growing up that he would have continued to share with you, but you just didn't have that time to do that.
Yep. I'm an only child, so I don't have any siblings, but I am close with my dad's family, and we will share. They'll have different pictures that I haven't seen and stories. And even there's one of his favorite places to go was out at my aunt's house out in Spicer, Minnesota. They have some beautiful land out there, and he would love going there. And I have some pictures where he's wearing this Eddie Bauer, big yellow sweatshirt that was just the comfiest sweatshirt that now I have to hold on to. But yeah, it's just all those memories from that I have and that people have shared with me that really help keep his memory alive. And it's great, having those, but it'd be better to have him. But
yes, absolutely.
I will take those memories.
Right. And you're thankful, like you said, it was hard when he was having a tough time. or he was struggling, he was getting towards the end, and you would make the trips and go weekly several times, never knowing, but after, you're so thankful that you did that every time you did it. And yes.
And for his service, I put together also a bunch of images, pictures from his past, and made a video that we showed along with music that he played in his band, and his brother was also in a bluegrass band, so it was kind of taking different songs and combining those with the pictures. And I still have those, and I will show my kids when they get a little bit older as well.
I remember
kind of a glimpse of his life from start to finish.
I remember that. I remember that day. I remember all of it very well.
What kind of questions, I'm curious, for your children, how old is Izzy now?
She is 10 now, and AJ is 6. So
Okay.
she would have been 2.5 when my dad passed away.
So they are so fortunate that their mom is great about sharing and always talking about their grandpa. Do they have questions? Do they ask about him or where he's at?
Yep, they do. My son mainly, and I always remind him too that that's who he's named after. He's named after 2 great men from his past. But they'll just ask kind of about what it was like, and what kind of music he played and what he liked to do. And I'm grateful that I have all those memories and pictures, and I even have some VHS tapes to show.
I feel like I remember him taping like birthday parties and.
Oh yeah. Yep.
He always made sure we had fun.
Yeah,
Always,
he was a great dad.
Definitely.
See, that's so good. And the thing that's just, I love you talking about the pictures and the memories, and that's why we take all the pictures that we do now, and our kids balk at, or at least teenage kids, do not want to have family pictures, do all these things, but you have all of that to look back on.
You just have to trick them.
Yes.
Pretend you're taking a selfie
There you go.
with all of your family. That will intrigue them.
Oh.
Yes.
So, Becca, that was in 2013.
Yep.
So, I guess, I don't know, I struggle with this one because Becca and I grew up together, and this was the first parent that one of my close friends had lost, So, you don't think about that stuff, and you don't think about how that can affect you. Becca was young. We're still very young.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. With a parent, it doesn't matter if we're 13, 33, or 53, we still need our parents. And especially when you have close relationships, when we're fortunate enough to have that, we may not ask for their advice or may not be living with them at the time or, talk to them every day, but yet they've always been in our lives and they've always been there to fall back on. And so when I start to think about people that have lost their parents, no matter what our age, that's just really difficult. And it's definitely an adjustment.
Mm-hmm. It definitely is. My my grandparents are, getting older, and I've lost my grandfather, and now my grandmother isn't doing so well too. So watching my mom kind of go through the same feelings and emotions and loss that I went through when my dad passed away is hard too. But I'm seeing some of those same things with her, and I'm feeling as well with my grandma, and it's definitely hard. It's just a part of life, and it's
you want to take that pain away. It's so hard to see someone that you love suffer, and you want to take that pain away, but yet by being there and by understanding, you are helping so much. And by going through what you went through with your dad, as hard as it was, that allows you to empathize with other people and to understand and hear the roles are almost reversed. Your mom is going through something you've already gone through.
right.
And so
It probably resonates a little with some feelings and
Yes, definitely. We went to go I went to see my grandma right before Mother's Day, and she had kind of taken a turn for the worse. And I could tell, and I hadn't seen her in a while, so I couldn't see that. But my mom, who had been going on a regular basis, could definitely see that, things were changing again, and that she was in a lot more pain. And it just, at that point, it just gets to be so hard watching a loved one suffer like that.
Yes, definitely. Becca, we often talk here with One Bright Star. We have our memorial site, and so we have a place that families sometimes feel more comfortable going to than a cemetery because of the child. Is your dad buried locally that you're able to visit? Because I know sometimes people just aren't, and I didn't know if you had a place or something that kind of reminds you of your dad or that you can go to.
He is not buried locally. After I graduated from high school, I went to college and I was in the cities, and he decided that he wanted to go back to school, and he moved to the cities as well to be closer to me. And so he then met my stepmom, his wife, in the cities. So they lived in Bloomington. So that's now where he is. He was cremated and he's in Bloomington. But I feel him all around me. When I moved back to Mankato, the location that we moved to is actually like half a mile from the home that I grew up in with him. So just even being, in my home now, I feel close to him because he loved that land, and that's where, my childhood was, and that's where my childhood home was. So my memories of him are all pretty much at that house.
Oh, that's really neat. Good. Becca, when we went through COVID, and I know it was really difficult for people, especially people that had lost loved ones during that time, and people were spending a lot more time at home and things like that. You seem to be doing so well because you have your pictures, your memories, and you get those things out and talk about it. Did you have any other opportunities to visit with anyone else during that time? Or did you find it was really hard to be able to get out or maybe, go to the places that made you feel more connected?
It was difficult during COVID just because of all the uncertainties that were surrounding us. But just still being, at the location at my home would make me feel safe and, bring those memories back. The office that I sit in to do my work has my dad's guitar in it. So whenever I'm on Zoom calls, that's in the background. So I'm constantly, reminded of him, and, just placing those memories, even different places around my home, to be constantly reminded and just fill my home with his memories.
Oh, that's really neat. I'm going to have to pay attention to that next time if we have to do another Zoom meeting.
We're not gonna.
Just to make it easier for travel or something at some point. But that's neat. I like that you
don't
actually
ask
took
me to
that
play, though,
opportunity.
because I don't play.
I think you should try.
I don't know.
Does your husband? Oh, that
No.
would be amusing. That would be amusing.
You're just going to leave it to the kids.
Yes,
huh?
I will leave it. We'll skip a generation.
There you go.
Speaking of your husband, I know your husband was close with your father too. Mm-hmm. And how is he coping? I mean, being that he never really got to have a relationship with his dad, because his dad died.
Yep, both of my husband is also an only child, and his parents both passed away at an early age in his life as well. So he has been a great supporter through all of this as well, since he's had gone through it. And he's great keeping those memories alive as well, constantly. He's a funny guy. So just, he brings the mood. If the mood's getting a little sad, he will definitely pep it up up with some stories. That's for sure.
I think every time I am around JJ, he mentions your dad's name, you know, and
Yeah.
You
So
have
it's-
that connection, and that's neat. It's great to hear his name, I'm sure, and to know that, just like when Erica says, that she got to enjoy those memories and those times, and she thinks of your dad too, and that makes you feel so good.
Yes, it does. And my dad loved birds and nature as well. So when I'm, driving around and just on long car trips or something and see an eagle that keeps coming by, or, noticing specific birds, I always think of my dad too.
That's neat.
it's probably him.
Yeah, there was right after we moved in, about 2 months later, there was a big turkey out in the backyard, and I said, "Oh, that must be my dad."
Yep. That's
Turkey.
good. That's good.
He was blessing our yard.
Aw, he would have loved the house.
Yeah, he would have.
At least you're back in the neighborhood. I think that's really special.
Yeah.
So good. Good deal.
Well, is there anything else that you want to share about your dad, or?
I don't think so. I think we just, it's great to keep these memories alive, and he, left too soon, but he's not in pain anymore, and that's the important part, and that's what brings me peace.
And that's amazing, and because One Bright Star is for, we support people who have lost a child. Excuse me, I couldn't get that out. But sometimes we don't think about the other losses that we have in our life. And losing a parent, I can't imagine. I mean, I take it for granted how my parents are in my life, and it reminds me that I need to step back and just enjoy those little
Grateful
things
for the
and,
time.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much, Becca, for sharing your dad, Andy, with us, and some great memories, and how you share your memories of your dad with your kids, your family, and with us, and to let people know that they're not alone either. And so,
Yes, thank you. I'm glad that we did this, and I'm glad I was able to share.
Yes, and keep letting those kids play that guitar.
Yes.
Okay.
and you practice
Supervised.
too. You practice as well.
We'll see about that.
Thank you.
Little bluegrass. All right. Thank you, friends. Until next time, this is Erica Fisher
And Alicia Moore.
with One Bright Stars Life After Loss podcast. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to One Bright Star's Life After Loss podcast. Life After Loss is a copyrighted production of One Bright Star. One Bright Star's Life After Loss podcast is sponsored by the law firm of Burkholtz and Associates. For more information on the lifelong journey after losing a loved one, please visit our website at onebrightstar.org.